All right, everyone, welcome back to another complexity casting presentation. I'm your casting host, Beef, bringing you day 2 of HoN Tour. This is the lower round 2. These teams all lost in one of their first 2 matches yesterday, so they are in the lower bracket of Diamond for Cycle 1 here. Now, they are not on the verge of being eliminated anymore. A lot of people have been asking me, hey, Beef, are these guys going down to gold if they lose? No, actually, the teams that were knocked down to gold were Experience Gaming, Vitriolic Gaming, Pencils, and Fit, which recently disbanded. Experience Gaming also did have a forfeit. That is Loda, Ake, and S4 from Dota 2 fame. So I'm not sure if they're going to be playing in gold, but that is irrelevant. The other question at hand, Beef, why aren't you casting Complexity versus TDM? Guys, that game is going on in about 3 hours from now, and that will be broadcast over at HoNcast, so that's going to be an awesome game. I know that I'm going to be looking forward to watching that, but I'll be bringing you guys Gary Johnson versus Fortune Bakery, which by all rights should be a fantastic game as well. All right, guys, enough of the news. Let's get into this game. One Trick Ponies taking on QsQ to see who's going to advance and whose Cycle 1 stops right here. One Trick Ponies, we did actually see them lose yesterday. Who are they playing? Trademark Esports. Trademark Esports absolutely dominated One Trick Ponies on their way to play Complexity. But let's take a look at this game. Blind Band's coming out. Keeper of the Forest and Wild Soul being removed by One Trick Ponies. The same heroes that they did ban yesterday in their games versus TDM. Heroes that are very, very adept at both jungling and as well as the suicide lane. Very strong in that capacity. Ophelia and Warbeast being banned out by QsQ. So they do not want those strong pushing heroes. Ophelia, of course, with the gank potential, and Warbeast with the very late game potential. But both of them have that strong pushing capacity, so neither of them are going to make it in. Moving it into the lock phase here. First lock comes out by Strufitter, who was not here yesterday. Strufitter was actually MIA, so they have a new drafter here. So we'll see if that maybe improves their play just a bit. As yesterday's games, like I said, were dominated by Trademark Esports. First lock is Wretched Hag, though, followed up by Nova locking out Pharaoh and Bubbles. Torture and Master of Arms on the other side for One Trick Pony, and a Luna to round it out. So got, let's take a look here. Hag, Pharaoh, Bubbles, all very competent in that suicide role. No real big things there. A Luna, strong support, picked, banned nearly every game. Torture and Master of Arms, two heroes that we've been seeing a little bit more often recently. TTEs as well as Complexity showing an affinity for that Torture hero, and of course Master of Arms gets picked up now and again by teams like this One Trick Ponies team. We saw it from them yesterday, as well as Trademark Esports. So we'll see if either of those make it in. Bans going out here. Strufitter chooses to ban Parasite, Fade, and Silhouette. So Silhouette, one of the strongest, if not the strongest, ranged agility carry in the game. So well executed in games yesterday by TDM, as well as just any time that hero gets picked up, she seems to have a huge role in the game, getting that farm, getting her items, and just becoming out of control. I mean, we've seen KZ go 700 GPM on that hero. We saw Noob G playing that hero in the finals of DreamHoN Winter at DreamHack against Complexity to just great effect, using that hero to gank and just get all kinds of work done. So not in this game, though. Parasite and Fade, two very strong ganking heroes. Fade with her ability to just control the map, not going to be picked up here. On the other side, though, QsQ Nova chooses to ban out Engineer, Pebbles, and Demented Shaman. Demented Shaman, a hero that goes very well with the bird. Zephyr, a hero that we've seen quite a bit recently, brought back into the metagame a little bit by Trademark Esports. But Demented Shaman, his buddy, not going to make it in. Of course, Engineer, a strong support, oftentimes used with another stun in that middle lane. Magnus comes to mind there. Not going to be making it in. And Pebbles, one of the stronger initiators, gankers, mid-games, someone that's able to get in there, get a quick pick-off, set up a team fight in your favor, force the enemy team out of position, and he's still tanky enough to hopefully get on out of there with his life. So, but not going to be picked up here. First pick actually comes out, and it is Tempest. So One Trick Ponies picking up that hero, of course, one of the strongest, if not the strongest and fastest farmer in the jungle. has great pushing potential, and of course that team fight potential with the Elemental Void. The game-changing ultimate is very, very strong with this hero. Picks for QsQ to counter that one out. Zephyr and Glacius coming out. So Nova chooses to go with the bird. Looks like One Trick Pony is getting birded is what the term is now, as teams have really gotten pretty afraid of Zephyr. His ability to just remain in the team fights, his ability to farm up extremely fast, just makes him a very, very scary hero to deal with. If you can't deal with that Zephyr and keep him contained, keep his farm low in the early game, you're just going to be in for a bad time. Once he starts getting very, very tanky, or starts getting very, very fat in terms of items, he can actually put out a ton of damage, or he can just remain tanky and be that hero in the front lines for a pushing team. But more picks coming out right here before we get into the lock phase. Last two picks for One Trick Pony, Meraxis and Nymphora, a combination that a lot of teams like to use. Shams as well as Franzi on Complexity actually like to run this. Whenever Shams does sub in, you're more than likely going to see a Meraxis pick up, but of course B-Kit as well as Haxorn play an excellent Meraxis as well, and tons of other players in the competitive scene. Meraxis, of course, another one of those heroes with that jump in potential, drops the stun, and he's still tanky enough to not die because of it. Nymphora, with her global presence, that ultimate makes the entire enemy team scared, and really is pretty good at trying to push back one of these hard carry farming type teams. Legionnaire on the other side is the last standard pick here for QsQ. Another jungler that farms insanely fast and a great initiator, someone that's really able to get in there and do a lot of damage and really cause havoc, get the other team out of position. That's what he really excels at. Wretched Hag is the first one making it out of the lockpick. One Trick Pony showing their affinity for this hero. We saw him actually be played by Sequence yesterday. That's who Strewfooter is replacing. Sequence from Fit was ringing for them. And I tell you what, I'm a fan of Sequence, but he did not have a good game yesterday. He fed both games, and so I'm really looking forward to Strewfooter actually being here in this game to see how he does in relation to Sequence, who was playing a suicide type role or a solo role yesterday. On the other side, though, QsQ does manage to pick up Torture and Pharaoh. So Torture, a hero with a ton of damage potential. He can get that initiation potential if he chooses to pick up a portal key as well, but generally just a hero that relies on a lot of farm. But once he gets it, a ton of damage, an actual a decent tanky presence, and just going to be very, very nice hero, often picked up with a lot of CC items. Pharaoh as well, an initiation hero, similar to the Meraxis. That's going to be their counter initiation, what have you, and of course a hero that does very well in the suicide lane. Last year to be picked up, Strewfooter on that Bubbles, going to be going into that suicide lane. It looks like, interesting to note that they're not sending him a ward up here, so he's not going to get the block on this. And if QsQ does choose to go for a dual lane short up in that top lane, they could very easily get a lot of farm from that stack camp. We'll have to see. Mid lane looks like it's going to be Nymphora, who's carrying one ward currently, and Meraxis. So that's going to be a very strong mid lane, of course. Wretched Hag, being played by Zibby, is going to be soloing short down here. And Tempest right now is denying the top. And then it'll be interesting to see if Tempest actually goes into the aggressive jungle. With this ward right here, I would not doubt that he could go into the aggressive jungle. But we'll have to see. Whether it's aggressive or defensive, that actually changes up a lot of things. If it's an aggressive jungle, of course the Tempest will be able to gank this middle lane from behind, but already a ward there. Actually, that's Architiger's ward. So they're actually a little bit afraid of a gank right there, using that one to spot out if there's any heroes up in this area. And it looks like it's going to be Glacius, Zephyr in the middle lane up here. Top's going to be Nox soloing the short, and Legionnaire going to be in the safe jungle. He's not one of those heroes that you generally put in an offensive jungle. Do one thing real quick here. I'm hearing that I'm relatively quiet. Sorry about that, guys. I hope that possibly turned me up a little bit if it's too loud. I mean, 6-minute delay, but I'll do my best. All right, so Legionnaire going to be in that jungle once again, and Pharaoh going to be doing his short lane solo against Wretched Hag down here. And now Pharaoh is a hero that does have a possibility to actually do very well in this lane. He's got the Iron Shield, he's got sufficient regen. He should be able to actually outlast hit this Hag. He's got strong attack damage, a strong animation, and he can defend himself decently well. Once the Hag starts getting a little bit of support from the Tempest, the Pharaoh might have to be wary, but in a 1v1 lane, Pharaoh should actually do relatively well down there. Meraxis and Amphora here, double stun in the middle lane. Of course, a very strong combination. If they happen to catch the Glacius out of position, then Glacius could be in quite a lot of trouble, but we'll have to see. Zephyr with that gust is very much so able to get the other team out of position, using that to pull them back in if Nymphora steps just a little bit too close or not. I mean, it's going to be very, very difficult for Architiger and Fuzzy here in the middle lane to score a kill, because if the Glacius does get caught out, Zephyr just gusts them back a little bit, and, well, we'll see. We shall see. After all, I'm actually going to turn my mic back down just a tiny, tiny bit there, as it was looking a little bit too loud on my end, but we'll see. There we go. I apologize once again, guys. I am solo casting this. I've been trying to get a co-caster for these HoN Tour games, but unfortunately I have to find a permanent or semi-permanent co-caster to get credentials for these games. I can't be getting a new co-caster in here every day. It's simply too much work to have them vetted by S2 and all that nonsense for if they're just going to be casting one game at a time. So until I do that, I will be solo casting that, but I'm going to be looking at a few people over the next week or so to see if I can bring another voice into the cast. Hopefully grab someone that's a current pro that's willing to cast, that's not on a HoN Tour team, or maybe an ex-pro that still has great knowledge of the scene, or just somebody that's not playing on a team right now, but we'll see. I like having that competitive insight, and of course I like having the ability to bounce ideas off of other people. And I know you guys like having a co-caster too. It's better for all of us, and so I'm going to work on that for you guys. Looks like a little bit of internet issues coming out right here. Hopefully won't last too much longer. If we end up having a long pause, we can just go to break and turn the music back on until that gets resolved. As a solo caster, I can't really talk for too long during these pauses. Not a whole lot to banter back and forth about. But of course the game is resumed right here. And let's get it on indeed. Yonason Fan, of course, holding his own down here against Zibby on the Wretched Hag. And like I said, Pharaoh should have a relatively decent time down there. He's actually 3-3 to the 1-1 of Wretched Hag. And this Tempest is really going to be what's key. If the Tempest is able to get in there and do some damage, then the Pharaoh is going to have to play passive. But until then, Wretched Hag might be in a little bit of trouble down there. Which is not what you want having. You don't want your short lane solo losing to a suicide. Middle lane, let's take a look at this matchup. Meraxis 8-1 as opposed to the 5-0 of Zephyr. We of course saw that the lane was pushed up quite a bit over here. It's going to counter push onto the high ground for the Hellborn in just a moment here, which is good news for Zephyr. A little bit of stacking going on as Nova makes his way into the jungle. Nox right there tries to land a chain reaction onto Bubbles, but Strewfooter with some great dodging skills. The Gust comes in right there. Glacius drops the Ice Imprisonment. The Zeal hitting two players, though, as well as the Quake. Meraxis might be in a little bit of trouble, but no, Pharaoh actually goes down bottom. Let's take a look back here mid as Meraxis is going to drop as well. Nova picks up the last kill. So 1-for-1 exchange, of course. One Trick Pony gets a little bit better end of that bargain as the Suicide Hero does go down for Bloodlust, but action in both lanes there. So that shows you the power of this Zephyr Gust. I mean, Meraxis, a strength hero. He's got 625 life, 3.5 armor right now. He's decently tanky, so it's kind of odd to see him drop, but getting that Gust nice and getting the players out of position right there, there's a lot of damage that can be done, especially with that Glacius that was level 2, the Ice Imprisonment, and the Tundra Blast doing quite a bit of damage to that Meraxis. Another Gust right there. Glacius not in position to land Ice Imprisonment, though, and didn't quite get that one. One Axe goes out and says, Zephyr, get the hell back. Zippy down here at 291 GPM did in fact grab the Bloodlust kill, so of course is a little bit inflated. 9 and 5 right now as opposed to the 8 and 5 Pharaoh. But with that level advantage and of course with the presence of this Tempest over here on the side, Pharaoh has to be a little bit cautious. Another Gust comes in right there in the middle lane as Zephyr and Glacius try to bring down the Meraxes once again, but he's going to use that bottle. The potion goes out on Nymphora, actually. I heard the potion, but I didn't see who it was on. Kind of odd. Pharaoh down here continuing to try to get his last hits, and he wants to make a recovery, but not quite able to. And Hag might be able to do something here. Axe is flying out from Zephyr, who's trying to camp this top rune, but it will in fact be camped properly by One Trick Pony. Glacius manages to pick up the double damage in a bottle, though, and that's going to be very useful for Nova. He's going to bring it back to Zephyr here in the middle lane, and that's going to assist quite a bit. Another kill going out here in the bottom lane as Yonisum Fan actually takes down Hag. We saw about 20 seconds ago that Hag was relatively low, had a little bit of mana as well, and I'm really sorry that I didn't catch that. Was catching the action at both of the runes right there. And top lane, though, Strewfooter in a little bit of trouble as he's taking auto attacks from Torture. The chain reaction, or the agonizing bonds right there used, and that one is finished as well. Another Gust in the middle lane. Zephyr trying to turn this around with the double damage. But no, Meraxes is going to be able to get away from the time being. It's Zephyr consumes those bottle charges. Another Gust comes in, pushing them back. Wasn't able to get a kill right there, or break any potions, anything like that. But Style just using up that mana before he consumed the rest of that bottle. Nova is going to head to town for the time being. QsQ currently finds themselves in about a 1,300 gold lead, as well as a 1,700 experience lead. Well, I'm down to about 1,500 experience right now. A lot of that can probably be attributed to this Legionnaire, who's doing very well, although, let's take a look over here. Tempest is not faring too badly either. They're the same level, and Legionnaire actually hits 6 right there if we take a look at the experience per minute tab. Legionnaire, of course, is doing a little bit better, and the gold per minute also a little bit better, but Tempest, of course, did contribute by taking out this Pharaoh in the bottom lane, so that's going to be very useful. Now, Pharaoh is trying to potion up over here, but he sees Tempest come in. The ward does expire, so it might be in a little bit of trouble. Nymphora is actually in a little bit of trouble mid, but the Zeal Stun comes out right there. Zephyr wants to get a kill, but both teams choosing to retreat. Nobody wants to give up their life for an unsure thing there in middle. Glacius is just finally returning to the lane, and now that Nova's back here, both players from One Trick Pony are going to have to retreat. They know that one Tundra Blast or one Ice Imprisonment could very well spell death in this lane. Zephyr grabs that rune up top. It's going to be Illusions. So it'd be very nice to get a little bit of scouting information, possibly give that to Nova to use, but nope, Zephyr actually gets that one and starts to consume those bottle charges immediately. He's going to be full on mana, so I'd expect to see a Gust here, just to do a little bit of harassment before he consumes that last bottle charge. We'll see. Nova makes his way toward the top over here. He's going to drop this deep rune that's going to provide good vision if they want to push this top tier tower, or if they want to gank in this area. It's a very good ward to have up, of course. Hag's in position right now to actually get a kill on Pharaoh, but the Hellfire comes out. The ultimate actually being used right there by Pharaoh, and Yonisum Fan trying to get something done. All he effectively did was use a ton of his mana, though, as he used all 3 spells at that time. Wretched Hag just blinks on out of there. She's actually finished up her Steam Boots now, so Zibby is doing very well down here. It comes back down to that Bloodlust kill, where Pharaoh was doing very well. He was actually in a substantial creep score lead prior to that, but now he's quite a bit behind in terms of creep score, in terms of gold per minute. Zibby doing very well with those Steam Boots, with that Ring of the Teacher, whereas Pharaoh's just sitting on Red Boots power supply, not even a Ring of the Teacher for himself. Tempest is in position to possibly land Glacial Blasts up here, and Strewfooter taking a lot of damage up top as well. The Elemental Void actually coming out right there. The Bat Blast not going to even be used. The auto attacks are going to be enough. The Sonar Scream is pretty good there, and Zooey actually picks that kill up on Tempest. So Yonisum Fan, I mean, he was doing very well to begin with, but now having to really taking a couple of deaths there. He got 1 return kill onto Zibby, so that's, of course, great for him, but not going to be enough. Meraxes throwing out a couple of axes there onto Zephyr. Zephyr says, hey, you don't get that creep. Just using a little bit of mana right there with the Gust. Tempest wants to try to get Glacius right here, but Tempest is invis, and it looked like Nova might have known that he was invis. I'm not quite sure. Architiger drops a ward up here, so they do have vision up on the high ground at this point. And Tempest drops the Glacial Blast right there. One more Glacial Blast going to be coming out. And there's the Quake. The Zeal Stun comes in. And the Sonar Scream from Wretched Hag to clean that one up. Zibby takes home that kill. So very nice coordination here by One Trick Pony to bring their third hero kill of the game home. And that's going to be quite nice for them as they even up that gold lead a little bit more. They still find themselves down by about 1,000 experience and gold at this point. But if they manage to get this tower, which they should here in mid, they actually take the gold lead with that. So nice job. Now, Nova's going to actually walk down right here, and if he's not careful, he could very well find himself caught out of position. No, he drops a ward of sight right there, spies the Wretched Hag with that teleport. So he's going to be calling that one out, and immediately you see Nox falling back on this Torture. That's something to point out here, that Nox is actually on the Torture. So I didn't point that out earlier because, well, I didn't notice it. But Nox on this Tort, he's, of course, one of the hard farming players here for QsQ, along with Style, who can play that role very well as well. He's going to be on the Bird, but... and we'll see quite a bit of farm coming out of Nox here. Actually, the Kelp Field being applied, as well as the Sonar Scream and the Shell Surf to clean that one up. Strewfooter gets credit for that kill. One Trick Pony's doing a good job of maybe baiting players out a little bit and just capitalizing on their overextensions of their opponents here on QsQ and looking to make this a game, certainly. Still finding themselves down in experience by quite a hefty margin here at 10 minutes into the game. But the gold lead remaining constant, and of course, this Tempest doing work. Zeal Stun comes out right there. The Quake Stun to follow up immediately. Bubbles with the Shell Surf, Song of the Sea. The Matrax being activated. The Gust might actually have been enough to save him, but no. The Flash of Darkness and the auto attacks to finish him off. Fuzzy gets the credit for the kill with that final axe. Now, worth noting as well that this tower up here was denied by Strewfooter. Nox had been working on that one for quite some time. Yonasom Fan picks up a regen rune down here at the bottom. They're looking to maybe set something up on this Wretched Hag, but of course, without a true lockdown spell, it's going to be very hard to get that hero. Nova doing some fantastic counter warding right there. That ward was about 40 seconds away. There was actually a kill there in the bottom lane as Yonasom Fan teamed up with Nox to grab one on the Tempest. Zui going down right there for the first time, knocking his farm back down to 311 GPM, where he's still about the third highest farmer in the game, shortly after Nox on that Torture. More going down here in the middle lane. The Typhoon coming out. Miraxis in some trouble. The Kelp Field goes down as well, though, and Style takes the return kill. Glacius might be in a little bit of a bad way, although Yonasom Fan comes back in. Hits a nice Tormented Soul right there onto Architiger's Nymphora, canceling the Grace of the Nymph. Says, no more mana for you. And both players going to walk on out of there. Hero kill score currently 6-5 in favor of One Trick Pony. They still find themselves down quite a bit. Yonasom Fan using the Wrath of the Pharaoh right there is going to grab Nymphora. Glacius does fall to that Bubbles though, and Bubbles might be in a little bit of trouble. Shell Surf not up for another 4 seconds. They're trying to cut down trees. It activates the power supply right there. Shell Surf going to be coming out. The taunt, though, not able to get it out. That little turtle's head is now rolling through the trees as the decapitation comes out from Legionnaire. Legionnaire making his first kill right there. Mali choosing to go the Helm of the Black Legion route first off. Bottom tower being picked up by One Trick Pony as well. So that gold lead once again equalized, but somehow, I mean, the One Trick Pony is doing a very good job of utilizing 2- and 3-man ganks throughout this, but they're doing a little bit of pub training, to be honest. All the while, QsQ is making good effort of actually using all the lanes, using their jungle, pushing up, farming very aggressively. That's why they have this 3,000 experience lead. They're going to be able to sustain that one as well. Actually, an M4 port coming in right here directly on top of these other 4 players. They might have an inclination that some Ancients are going on. Actually, they're going to go on to Yonasom Fan. Glacial Blast coming out. 1 TP, 2 TPs coming in right now. And it looks like One Trick Pony going to retreat. The Wrath of the Pharaoh's up in 2 seconds. Will he choose to use it? Bubbles is maybe a little bit out of position right there, but Yonasom Fan not going to use it for the time being. Wretched Hag comes over to maybe try to clean up any kind of Ancients. Grabs 2 of them right there, the small guys, for about 100 gold, so nice job. Style on Zephyr, retreating into the jungle. Now, Style has actually died quite a few times here. 3 deaths for the bird, only at 268 GPM, so he does not have that Helm of the Black Legion afforded to him that Legionnaire does already have. Not quite as tanky, but still going to do a little bit of jungling all the same. The level 9 bird should, by all rights, be just fine in that jungle. Guys, I have to make sure... the delay is working here. Okay, the delay is working. I'm not sure. Very odd. I just saw a comment that led me to believe the delay was not working, but it is. So sorry about that, guys. Once again, solo caster, no production team behind me. Just trying to make sure that everything is rolling smoothly here. Legionnaire runs into a hag illusion over here. Says, no, get out of there. He's trying to do a little bit of blocking, and I believe that he did block that last stat coming out. Nova, once again, going to drop this deep ward. Barely missing Nymphora, who might go to do the same. Actually, Glacius is in a little bit of trouble here. The Shell Surf comes out, and they do spy Glacius, who the Zeal Stun going to miss right there. Chain Reaction hits 2 players, though, and the Kelp Field being broken onto Nova. Nova is going to take the fall right there. Archer Tiger gets credit. No, Flizzy actually gets credit for that kill. And now the Elemental Void going to be coming out right there. The Gust going to cancel that one. Bat Blast going to come in right there, as well as Wretched Hag comes in with the Sonar Screams, trying to clean up on Nox right now. Glacial Blast and auto attacks might be enough. He's trying to turn it around onto Bubbles right there. Not quite able to secure that one. Wretched Hag making her way up here. Once again, Graves to the Nymph granting a little bit more mana and, of course, that movement speed as Zephyr's trying to get out of there. The Helm of the Black Legion actually makes him quite tanky up there. So he's able to get on out of there. All the while, Wretched Hag Illusion down here doing so much farming now. Not actually going to happen like that, as now we do have Meraxis actually picking up that portal key. So very nice from Meraxis being able to grab that one. Only 15 minutes into the game. Portal keys on the other team. Legionnaire picks his up as well, so going to be very useful. Torture, of course, picks up that Mighty Blade, going to be going for a Shrunken Head first, most likely. That Shrunken Head, of course, will be very useful in dealing with Nymphora, Wretched Hag, Bubbles, even the Axe's Meraxis damage from the Meraxis himself. But Wretched Hag is picking up a Hellfire, which will be very useful in dealing with the so tanky heroes of the QsQ squad. Legionnaire, Zephyr, and Pharaoh, all very useful to have that Hellburn effect on. Get that 20% additional damage. Get them locked down before Pharaoh can do something like activate his mummy walls or activate that wall of mummies to try to save himself before Zephyr can turn on that ultimate. Meraxis comes in right there with the Quake. The Gust pulls him back in, though, and taking a lot of damage from the Impalement. In comes the Song of the Sea. The Shell Surf and Kelp Field quickly to fall right there. The Decapitation goes down, and Meraxis is going to lose his head. Tempest is now in a little bit of trouble as the Glacial Downpour does a ton of damage. Nova brings home that kill. Bat Blast going to be going out. The Wrath of the Pharaoh missing right there. Legionnaire tries to get out of this. Shell Surf comes in as Strufitter takes home that kill. And over here, Zephyr actually brings down the Typhoon on top of Nymphora. Finds Wretched Hag as well, trying to chase her down, but not quite able to. Now Zephyr might be in a little bit of trouble. No, it looks like the Legion team not going to give chase for the time being. The Shell Surf actually used to port in right there. The Gust comes in as well. Hag is here, misses the Bat Blast on Zephyr, but manages to nail Pharaoh. Pharaoh, very low on life right here, might die. No, he's going to survive for the time being. They want the bird. Hag is going to die to neutral creeps right there just before the Gust comes in. A little bit of a mistake right there by One Trick Pony. They should have been able to secure the kill on a couple of these heroes. Meraxis does come in. He died very early on in this fight, and he picks up the kill on the Zephyr right there. Jonas and Fan already made it back to town. He's safe and sound, so not going to die to any kind of follow-up damage. But they should have been able to get that kill on the Pharaoh. It's so unfortunate that they weren't able to secure that one. But a nice job there from Zibby actually getting himself denied by neutrals. I don't know if that was on purpose, as it looked like he was trying to hide more than die to neuts. But very interesting. Fuzzy right now is just sitting here farming the lane. We saw, of course, the portal key used for the initiation right there, but not quite tanky enough at this point to really get in there. Glacier's actually in trouble now as the Meteor as well as the Glacial Blast come in. A nice axe going to be hit right there from Fuzzy, and one more auto attack will be all that it takes. Legionnaire comes in, though. The Whirling Blades being used, and the Decapitate comes out. The Elemental Head going to be rolling on the ground now. Meraxis in a little bit of trouble as he's trying to run away, but Legionnaire not going to be going in for seconds at this time. He simply doesn't have the mana. Pharaoh is there with the Wrath of the Pharaoh available, but not with prompt provision, so he's not going to take a blind hook shot for the time being. Bubbles going to be saving up for a portal key himself. He's about 420 gold away for the time being, and that's going to be very useful for getting in and out of these fights, especially with so many tools on the Hellborn team of really the displacement. The Legionnaire, you don't want to get close to him. Pharaoh, you can't really get close to him. Zephyr, you don't want to get anywhere near him. And of course, with that Typhoon down, that's another reason that you don't want to go near. And of course, Torture. I mean, there's so many heroes that they just take up area around them that you can't go near them. And so the team fights are very chaotic. Having a portal key enables you to be in the position that you want to be in, especially as a very squishy hero like that Bubbles. Fuzzy continues to get his farm on here mid. Jonas and Fan across the river just throwing some stuff out. But actually, Tempest comes in with the portal key right there. Glacial Blast. The Matrax being activated. Zeal Stun hits, and the Matrax is consumed to get the kill right there. And Jonas and Fan. Nymphora might be in a little bit of trouble. The Typhoon activated after the Gust right there. But the Elemental Void comes out. In comes Legionnaire. He drops the taunt, grabs the kill onto Nymphora, and looks like Meraxis might be in a little bit of trouble. Arcane Shield not quite going to save him. Taunt and Decapitate to finish him off. Elemental is just walking away right there. Torture and Bubbles looks like they had a little bit of a man fight up there as Nox actually brings home the kill on that one. Strewfitter takes his third death of the game. Bubbles has been having a very, very strong game, but he's not able to take that fight as Nox is pretty dang tanky at 1,200 life right now and level 15, so he's putting out a ton of damage. QsQ right now finds themselves in a 3,500 gold lead, so not astronomical. The big one here is the 7,000 experience lead. And that is a pretty substantial amount at 20 minutes into the game. And if we take a look at the experience per minute chart, actually, there's a little bit of action coming in right here. Glacial Blast being applied to Zephyr. No Gust being used just yet. As actually Hag's going to come in. Sonar Screen being used as well as the Haunts applied. So Zephyr being slowed substantially at this point. Will they chase up the hill? I would not advise chasing up that hill. Actually, they do blink. They get a good blink off right there. A nice safe one. Bubble's going to make his way up as he's going to turn his attention to Glacius. No, they want the Zephyr, but he's already taken refuge over here at the tower. The Meteor brings down the entire patch of trees. Somebody called Greenpeace because there's a little bit of deforestation going on right here. Tempest wants to be able to get up here and maybe do a little bit of creep cutting in the lane, but says, nope, I'm just going to summon these elementals and try to clear up the pull that you were taking care of. But Nox comes in, puts an end to that with a chain reaction and a couple auto attacks. Legionnaire grabs the taunt right there and the decapitation to finish him off. Melee is on fire right now. 6-1 and 0, 355 GPM on this Legionnaire. He's just coming in and getting kills left, right, and center. So nice job here by the QsQ team, extending their lead even further at this point. Nymphora Port going to be coming out right here. It is spotted out by the creeps, but Nox might be in a little bit of trouble as in comes the Chainsaw Massacre, the Zeal Stun, and the Quake to finish him off. The Matrax actually gets the kill right there. No, Stewfritter actually gets the kill on Bubbles. So very nice job there, boosting his farm up to 249, and he will have enough money for his portal key with just a couple more creep kills, and he does have it right there. He's going to pick up the rest, of course, because no creep goes to waste in Neworth, but he's got it all the same. Taking a look at the GPM charts right now, Torture leads the way, followed very closely by Legionnaire, and then, of course, Zephyr. On the other side, Wretched Hag, Meraxis, and Tempest, all maintaining decent GPMs at between 250 to 300, but they are quite behind the other team. Jonas and Fan, as well as Nova, quite further back down there, and of course Strewfitter keeping even with Jonas and Fan. Both suicides hovering around 250 GPM. Now, Jonas and Fan does pick up a glowstone right there, which makes me believe that he's going to be going for a Staff of the Masters at some point here, and it's going to take him quite some time to finish that. But once he's able to get that, it's going to be very useful, reducing the cooldown on that ultimate to only 20 seconds, as Moon likes to do. Once he gets that item, you can really just use it on whatever. You can almost taunt your opponents by saying, hey, I missed, go. But I actually have another one up in 15 seconds, so not a big deal. And of course, being able to hook to your allies is very useful as well, although something we very rarely see, to be honest. Pharaoh walks by a Ward of Revelation while Invis here, so the Legion team does have a heads up that he's Invis, and Pharaoh also knows that there's a Ward of Revelation there, so a little bit odd, kind of. Bottom tower taking a lot of pressure right here. Legion team opting to go for the counter aggression instead of trying to defend for the time being. And actually, Port's going to be coming in as well as an M4 Port up here, though. So this is going to be a big team fight. Legionnaire goes in with the taunt onto Wretched Hag, decapitation, and Tempest comes in with a big Elemental Void, catching 3-4 players right there. The Typhoon being applied. Bubbles is maybe in some trouble. No, manages to port on out of there. Zooey on the Tempest does, in fact, fall. Wrath of the Pharaoh once again going to be missed, though, by Jonas and Fan on that Pharaoh, and the Legion team in full retreat right now. Bubbles trying to get out of there, as well as Nymphora, and Moraxis, of course, is not even there to begin with. He's going to be coming over here and trying to get maybe a little bit of push going on in the middle lane, knowing that with his other players down, they cannot defend this top tower. Legionnaire and Zephyr will start chipping away at that one. Moraxis looking like he might want to make his way over there to mounted defenses. Both players are up in less than 10 seconds with the Glyph of Fortification available. They might go for a defense, and as Trough says, I mean, using the Glyph of Fortification, if you're not going to defend, is kind of a waste, but they actually do manage to put it into deny range right here, and Bubbles, by all rights, should have a very easy deny. Oh! Legionnaire comes in. He might pay for that one, though. Song of the Sea being applied, as well as the Meteor, Glacial Blast. Chainsaw Massacre comes out. Malay gets the tower kill, but actually dies for it. So getting 480 gold for the kill streak there on Malay, and setting Legionnaire back just a little bit. I mean, you got to think about it this way. Malay gets, what, 400 and something odd gold for that. Lost probably about the same amount, but gave the other team some experience. I don't know. It's debatable whether that was worth it or not. And of course, Legionnaire down for 50 seconds gives the Legion team the opportunity to push this tower for absolutely nothing. There's pretty much no way that the Hellborn will be defending this one. As it's 26 minutes into the game, giving up tier 1 towers, not a big deal. And in fact, the Legion team will take this one home. Cheekwise the gold lead down to about 5,000 now, up from 3,000 about 6 minutes ago. So not too shabby here from QsQ, but certainly a little bit miscalculated there by Malay, not realizing that there were going to be 5 Legion heroes porting in on him. Zephyr picks up a Soul's Bulwark right now, so choosing to go that route. Does already have a Mystic Vestments as well against the heavy magic damage team on the other side. Should be relatively useful to have. We'll see if he upgrades that into a Shaman's Headdress at some point, or chooses to remain with just that Mystic Vestments. He does have about 2,500 gold saved up, so it'll be interesting to see what items he goes for next. He could, of course, go for that Shaman's Headdress, Barrier Idol route. He could be going for something like very early Demonic, although there's not a whole lot of physical damage on the opposing team to really warrant getting that out super fast. He could, of course, go for something like a Frostbrand, maybe a Shrunken Head. We'll have to see what he does. Legionnaire picks up a Barbed Armor to complement his Portal Key Steam Boots, and Helm of the Black Legion makes him relatively tanky, getting in right here for the Kongor. Now, the Souls is still on on negative right there. I'd like to see it change positive and give out that aura, as the negative armor does not work on Kongor anymore. If we actually take a look right there. So that's a little bit unfortunate that he hasn't changed that. And that's one of my pet peeves. Whenever I see this happening, change your damn Soul's Bulwark to negative. Actually, just heard a siren go by outside, so I saw a bunch of fire trucks outside of my apartment next to a hotel down the street a little while ago. And I'm hoping that there wasn't anything too serious going on over there. Wretched Hag does finish her Hellflower over here, so Zibby, that's going to be very useful in upcoming team fights. Bubbles sitting on that portal key of his own, as well as 1,700 gold. Actually, initiation right there onto the Pharaoh. He used that Wrath of the Pharaoh, but it looked like he hit a creep, unless there was a push stick coming out right there. Yeah, he did hit a creep then. He wasn't quite able to get the correct landing on that Wrath of the Pharaoh, which was just close enough to get him in range of that Glacial Blast. And Zephyr does finish a Demonic right here. So I don't necessarily disagree with that one. Even though there's not a whole lot of physical damage coming out for the other team, there's a lot of auto attack damage, of course, and a couple of these spells have a little bit of physical component to them, specifically Moraxes. So maybe not the worst idea to get a Demonic, but certainly the attack speed that it's going to grant and the negative positive armor is going to be useful for pushing. And if that's what they're looking to do right here, then of course that would be very useful. And they do immediately start making their way toward this middle lane. Nox finishes up his Shrunken Head right here to complement Mana Ring, Steam Boots, and a Mystic Vestments, looking strong. Nova has done a nice job of warding throughout the entire game, as he always does. And, of course, picking up that power supply, which is going to be very useful. Legionnaire comes in right there with a taunt. The Quake Stun to follow up, though. In comes the Wrath of the Pharaoh. Decapitation onto Wretched Hag right there. Typhoon being applied. Wretched Hag buying back, so she's going to come in. Wants to land a big Bat Blast. Moraxis is in trouble, though. In comes the Elemental Void. The Bat Blast to follow. Sonar Scream going to come up. And it looks like 4 players could go down. No, just Torturer for the time being. Legionnaire is going to fall as well. A nice Zeal Stun, so Zephyr could be in a little bit of trouble. Does, in fact, fall to that tower. Yonason Fan trying to turn something around right there. Wretched Hag is in some trouble. The Ice Imprisonment comes out, as well as the Wall of Mummies. Zibby going to die for the second time in that team fight. Ends up being a 4-for-2 plus Aegis. So QsQ gets the better end of that one. No one but him. 4 left alive right there. If Zibby had not gone in and died once again at the end of that fight, that could have been much, much better for One Trick Pony. But after the buyback, he had a fantastic couple of Sonar Screams and the ultimate to combine with Tempests. Beautiful Elemental Void, catching 4 players for the entire duration right there. But unfortunately, Zibby got greedy at the end there, blinked right back into Glacius, into the Torturer who had just resurrected, and into the Pharaoh. So got absolutely massacred right there, and of course did buy back a little bit earlier in that team fight. So got to take that into account. QsQ now in a 15,000 experience lead, 12,000 gold lead, looking very strong here. Yonason Fan finishes up that Staff of the Masters, so that cooldown is now down to just 20 seconds on the ultimate, now governed by mana more than a cooldown almost entirely. Zephyr picks up another Beast Heart right here, so his next item is going to be that Behemoth's Heart. A very, very strong item. It's going to make him extremely tanky and give him lots of sustainability throughout the rest of this game. Alright, so we need to talk about something, guys. Like, this right here, this whole thing, that, on Nova, that's, I don't know if that's okay. Like, I don't know if that's okay, guys, because Nova is known for having like red boots and a minor totem at like 45 minutes into a game. And Nova has a portal key in addition to Strider's Mystic Vestments power supply, as well as all of his wards. He's got a portal key on Glacius, guys. One Trick Pony is in some serious trouble. We don't get to see this too often. Mummy Wall's going to come out right here from Pharaoh. The Zeal Stun going to hit Pharaoh as well as the Glacial Blast right here. Yonason Fan might be in some trouble. Nova comes in with a Glacial Downpour, though, and does a ton of damage to Zui. Actually gets helps get the kill right there onto that Tempest. Torture comes in, he lands the chain reactions as well as the everything is landed right there on the Moraxes. The Kelp Field gonna come out right here, and QsQ going to try to go in. I can't even fathom Nova right now with this portal key making the big initiation plays on this Glacius. This is oh man. Yonason Fan going deep right here. Wants to catch that Wretched Hag. She gets the Flash of Darkness out at the last minute. And Yonason Fan might be in a little bit of trouble. Taking some damage from the towers here. But no, not quite going to get killed. And now QsQ, maybe with a little bit too much damage taken, going to retreat for the time being. They did not manage to take this tower down, which is unfortunate, as they did have 2 players down going into that push, and they should have been able to take a nice easy tower, maybe even some racks, but they overextended a little bit, trying to get a little bit too greedy. Male is sitting pretty on this Legionnaire. He's got 2,100 gold saved up right now. I have to imagine he's already bought an item, actually. Bubbles trying to get something happening here onto Zephyr. The Song of the Sea already being used. Will he be using the Shell Surf? There goes the Shell Surf as well. And Four going to come in with a nice seal stun. They had a square contain on Zephyr right there. Style was in a ton of trouble. And with the bird down for the time being, they might choose to pursue right here. Zippy actually coming in with the Sonar Scream. Landing the Haunt would be big right there. Doesn't quite get the Haunt off. A couple auto attacks come in. The Ice Imprisonment being applied onto Zippy on that. Oh, actually a huge ultimate going to be coming out right there, but no, the chain reaction interrupts that when Legionnaire going to be falling, as well as Pharaoh. Legionnaire buys back immediately, though. He's going to be teleporting back in, looking for a return kill, but no, he actually cancels that teleport. Glacier has a little bit of miscommunication right there as the Ice Imprisonment comes out, but Legionnaire was not in there. I wonder why that teleport was canceled. He might have not felt safe, like he was going to get jumped by the entirety of the Legion team, but if he'd actually gone in there, they could have gotten a kill onto that Tempest and maybe even onto Wretched Hag as well. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Legionnaire having to use a lot of his gold right there to buy back. I could have sworn that he had more items than this, but you know, his GPM at 338 right there, it's good, but it's not incredible by any means. I thought that he had more though. So we'll see when he picks up a new item. Tempest does pick up the Warhammer now, so he's going to be working toward that Shrunken Head, which is going to be very late, to be honest with you. 255 GPM Tempest, a little bit lower than you're used to seeing in most of these games. Tempest generally do get a little bit better farm just from the pushing potential of their teams, from setting up ganks, from being able to farm very effectively in the jungle, but not quite able to get that Shrunken Head out at the 25-minute mark or something like that, like we see so often. This has also been a lot more action-packed of a game. We have 48 hero kills going into the 35-minute mark right now. So very interesting. More Hellflowers being picked up here by the Hellborn team. An Arcana on Bubbles as well as an Arcana on Meraxes. So they're going to be looking for at least 2 more here. Major Totem on Nymphoris. She's going to be working toward that push stick, the Tablet of Command. Mighty Blade on Wretched Hag. She's going to be picking up a Shrunken Head. Pharaoh starting to maybe bank a little bit of gold. I mean, he hasn't bought back it. Where's his gold at? Power Supply, Staff of the Masters. He doesn't really have anything new, so it's a little bit odd to see that he does not have any additional gold. Zephyr did, of course, take that death there in the bottom jungle. Tempest's going to run into Pharaoh right here. We'll see if they try to go in. Actually, the Thunderblast's going to come out right there. The charge, as well as the Decapitate, come out. And down goes Tempest. With that Elemental down, they might try to go for a push right here. They should easily be able to take this outer defensive tower. The last one remaining for One Trick Pony. Nox right now, the strongest farmer in the game. 428 GPM. Sheepstick finished up to complement his Shrunken Head. Tower dies immediately to that level 4 impalement. Very, very strong style. Leading the charge here on Zephyr. That Demonic doing work, and looks like they're going to back off. Kongor is going to be up in just about another minute or so, if my memory serves correctly. I don't want to take a look back up. We'll see when he's up. Jonas and Fan brings up the rear as they form a coordinated retreat. Double damage from Raxus is taking out those creeps. And so Hellfire finished up on Bubbles right there. Meraxes, I don't know if he's actually got his anywhere near finished up. He's somewhat far away. He could either be another 1,100 gold or he could be 2,600 gold off. I'm not quite sure for the time being. Both teams just trying to catch each other out of position right now. They know with the kill score being as even as it is, and with neither team having a Rax down, neither team having a super extremely farmed carry, that positioning and team fights are key here. Even with the 15,000 gold lead and 1,700 experience lead here. QsQ could find themselves in a poorly positioned team fight and really lose 4 or 5 players and easily lose a Rax or 2. So they have to make sure that they don't give up that positioning advantage, even more so than the gold or experience advantage at this point in the game. Super important. Mr. Moneybags over here, Nova, stop canceling his ice imprisonment onto Kongor. Going to be dropping a couple of wards most likely. Or actually just providing high ground vision over here is what he's going to do. Making sure that as his team does attempt this Kongor, that they will be covered appropriately. Illusions from Pharaoh going to try to spawn out the rest of this Legion team. 1 ward going to go down, and now the Winged Courier going to fly out. They're going to use that one to check out Kongor, and that little dragon is going to be able to spot that one out. There's only 4 seconds on this shield, so if they could kill this courier, they're going to kill the courier. The courier goes down right there. Yeah, that's unfortunate. In comes Tempest, but immediately canceled by Pharaoh. Typhoon going to be going down. Kelpfield as well. Gust back in. It looks like Tempest is going to be the first to fall, shortly followed by Jonas and Fan on that Pharaoh, possibly. Fuzzy going to fall as well on that Meraxes. Torture in the middle of everything, doing so much work. Chain reaction, not hitting anything right there. Fuzzy is actually going to come back into this as he actually did grab the kill onto Style. The Zephyr going to be going down and immediately buys back. So apologies. Zephyr did not, or excuse me, Fuzzy did not go down on Meraxes. Glacius tries to get the kill here onto Bubbles. They're going to try to turn it around on the Glacius. Hellfire applied, and down goes Glacius. Boundeye being reacquired by Wretched Hag. Jonas Fan might want to try to get a snipe, but another Hellfire going to be going out right there. Jonas Fan being caught out. Chain reaction hits 2 heroes, but the Haunt applied, and Jonas Fan Pharaoh going to go down. After the Pharaoh catches 3 players there at the end. And Zephyr and Legionnaire trying to finish off this Kongor. Zephyr picks it up as Legionnaire portal keys on out of there. Merax is trying to find Legionnaire, maybe get a nice kill, but with that courier down, they don't have any high ground vision. And QsQ takes that fight. They had to buy back on Zephyr. They had to buy back on, I believe Jonas and Fan died twice right there. Yes, he did. So Jonas and Fan on the Pharaoh died twice. Zephyr died once and bought back, but now he's got that Aegis to Life. So he's got a second life for next time. On the other side, though, well, let's take a look here. Style got the kill onto Kongor. Zibby and Strewfooter each got a kill, and Fuzzy did as well. So, I mean, Actually, that was a pretty decent exchange for One Trick Pony. The gold and experience lead remains relatively consistent there. They got the kill on Zephyr. They lost Wretched Hag. Hag had to buy back for the second time. Jonas and Fan died once, bought back. Then they managed to get Nova down on the Glacius. And then they picked off Jonas and Fan the second time. So, yeah, that's actually a pretty good trade for One Trick Pony. They did give up the Kongor kill as well as the Aegis of Life. But not necessarily a bad trade, and certainly one that they're willing to make with Pharaoh and Glacius down, especially recovering that bound die. They're going to be able to use that to get quite a bit more counterweighting in and hopefully take more map control to get good positioning once again. Oh, looks like Legionnaire's in some trouble right there as Hellfire being applied. He dodges the Shell Surf, but in comes the Glacial Blast. Zephyr is there. He wants to make something happen. The Gust actually going to come in right there, but no. Zephyr is going to back off. Chain reaction going to clean up some of these elementals for the time being. Guys, I'm reading about people lagging. I'm sorry, but there's nothing that I can do on my end. I mean, I'm not dropping any frames, anything like that. So try changing the resolutions. Try refreshing, new browser. That's what they always say here. But Twitch has been lagging this weekend. There are a lot of events. IPL 5 has 5 different events. Actually, Jonas Van got out right here. The Quake comes in. Torture applying the sheep onto Bubbles. Immediately turns on all of his activation abilities. And the Shrunken Head being applied as well. Doing a lot of damage to multiple people. Down goes Bubbles. The Zephyr going to try to pick that one up with a Gust, but not quite able to. Glacius in a little bit of trouble. Auto attacks finish him off. Wretched Hag takes the chain reaction, and both players going down. Wretched Hag as well as Nim4, and Meraxes is in a little bit of trouble here now, as well as the Gust brings him back in. He's a tanky dude, but will he be tanky enough? Tempest wants to be able to help out his buddy, but will he be able to? They're turning it around onto Nox right now. Glacial Blast going to be coming out. One more stun is left. Auto attacks is all that they have remaining, but no, Tempest is going to be going down, and the chain reaction as well. Meraxis goes down to genocide here. One Trick Pony is completely down, and QsQ remains strong with 3 players up. Oh man, that was a strong team fight. They got caught out. They lost the Pharaoh to actually have the initiation right there, but they turned it around with fantastic play. I mean, Torture standing in the middle of that fight just did so much damage. If we actually take a look at the damage charts, yeah, exactly what I expected. Torture at 50 or 17%. I'm really bad with numbers, guys. 17% of the damage dealt in this game. That's a preposterously high amount. Next closest is Zibby, immediately followed by Style on the bird, as well as Bubbles on, or well, Bubbles on the Bubbles. Strufiter on that Bubbles. Middle tower goes down here as the Hellborn capitalizes on that one team fight. Still not able to secure a Rax here. 42 minutes into the game. Oh, actually, Bubbles gets assassinated right here as the sheep going to be coming in. The take cover comes out, and will he be able to get out of there? The kelp field being applied as well as the Hellflower onto Nox, but no, he does go down. The assassination successful. Wrath of the Pharaoh sheep, chain reaction, agonizing bonds, and the impalement all used right there to secure the kill. With Bubbles down, he's not going to be able to assist with this Rax, and now 43 minutes into the game, the first Rax is destroyed. The second ranged Rax is going to follow very shortly after. Now, they want to be able to get something happening with this Tempest. They need to have a huge Tempest ultimate, but look at the spread here for the Hellborn team. They simply are way too spread out for Tempest to be able to get any kind of a meaningful ultimate in without being immediately canceled out by something like the Legionnaire or the Pharaoh. So not able to happen just yet. As long as Bubbles is down for another 30 seconds, the Hellborn is able to safely push this lane. In fact, Wretched Hag is down here. They know that Wretched Hag is down there trying to defend the bottom lane. And oh, looks like initiation came in right there as Nox as well as Nova do in fact team up. The portal key on cooldown, so I assume that Nova came in with an Ice Imprisonment, Glacial Blast onto that Tempest, and they were able to secure the kill with the Sheepstick follow-up, which is also on cooldown, and that should spell doom. In comes the taunt from Archer Tiger, misses the taunt, but no, the Bat Blast comes out, hits 2 players, knocks in some trouble. The Elemental Void coming out, and they're going to be able to catch Zephyr. The first life does expire right there. That's a buyback on. That was not actually the Elemental Void. That's the Typhoon coming out from Zephyr. Wretched Hag going to be in some trouble right here. She does fall to the chain reaction buybacks on to Torture. In comes Meraxis. The Quake not going to be able to come out. The Wrath of the Pharaoh, Mummy Wall, everything going to be going out, but the GG well played come out as well as One Trick Pony drops the first game in this best of 3 series. Looks like, in fact, this one will be going to QsQ. Nova Squad brings it home in a 1-0 lead in this series, looking very strong in that game, but One Trick Pony certainly has the possibility to take home the next game and bring it to a game 3. We'll see though, guys. We'll be right back with game 2 in this series. This has been Complexity Casting, brought to you by me, your casting host Beef. You can check me out over at twitter.com/BeefPotPie1 or at BeefPotPie1, whatever you prefer, for any updates regarding Complexity HoN and when we'll be casting here on Colecast. And of course, a huge shout out to Complexity for helping to put this one on. You can check them out and all of our HoN Tour coverage over at ComplexityGaming.com. HoN is on the front page of Complexity right now with our event portal, and we do have a little bit of a write-up talking about Cole HoN as well, so make sure to check that one out and let Complexity know how much we love their involvement here in the HoN scene. ComplexityGaming.com for all of your Complexity needs, guys. We'll be right back with Game 2 in this series. Don't go anywhere.